While millions of people are screaming at their TVs, painting their faces, and letting their mood rise and fall based on the actions of strangers in uniforms, there's a quieter group of people who feel nothing. No excitement, no anger, no heartbreak. And the world keeps asking them the same question: what's wrong with you? But what if not caring about sports isn't a flaw? What if it's a signal? Because not caring doesn't mean you're passionless, it doesn't mean you're boring, and it definitely doesn't mean something is missing inside you. It usually means something is calibrated differently. To understand why, we have to talk about tribes. For most of human history, survival depended on belonging. Your group protected you, fed you, gave your life meaning. Sports are simply the modern version of that ancient instinct. Tribes with better branding and more expensive jerseys. When someone watches their team play, their brain releases oxytocin, the same bonding chemical that connects parents to children, the same chemical that creates loyalty and emotional attachment. Their brain isn't just watching a game, it's experiencing us. But here's the part people rarely talk about. Some brains don't crave that kind of belonging. People who don't obsess over sports often have weaker tribal impulses, not because they're antisocial, but because their identity doesn't depend on group membership. They don't need to borrow meaning from a crowd to feel whole. Research shows these individuals engage far less in us versus them thinking. They don't automatically hate the opposing team. They don't feel personally attacked by a loss. And that changes everything. Because what's happening in the brain of a sports fanatic during a game is intense. Every play triggers anticipation. Every possession carries uncertainty. And uncertainty is dopamine's favorite fuel. It's the same reward system used by gambling: intermittent reinforcement, small emotional spikes delivered at unpredictable intervals. Neurologically, it's powerful, and yes, addictive. Your brain doesn't really care whether dopamine comes from a slot machine, a notification, or a fourth-quarter comeback. It just knows it wants more. For people who don't care about sports, that circuit simply doesn't light up. Vicarious competition doesn't trigger their reward system, and part of that may be genetic. Variations in dopamine receptor genes can influence how much someone enjoys spectator competition, meaning your complete indifference to whether a team wins or loses might literally be written into your biology. But there's another difference, and it's more psychological than chemical. Sports fans often experience something called basking in reflected glory. When their team wins, they say, "We won." When their team loses, suddenly it's "they lost." Their self-esteem rises and falls based on outcomes they don't control. People who don't obsess over sports tend to avoid this pattern. Their sense of self is more internally anchored. They don't outsource their worth to external victories. Their identity stays stable. That doesn't make them better, but it does make them different. Now, here's the part that surprises people. Sports fans often score higher on certain empathy measures. They practice caring deeply about strangers. They emotionally invest in people they've never met. So why doesn't that empathy translate for non-fans? Because empathy is finite. Everyone has a limited capacity for emotional investment. People who don't care about sports usually allocate that empathy elsewhere, to relationships, ideas, art, nature, personal growth. Studies show they score higher in openness to experience. They're more drawn to beauty, creativity, and abstract meaning. They're still chasing emotional highs, just through different doors. And sometimes indifference has a history. Maybe sports culture felt exclusionary. Maybe competition was tied to shame. Maybe the aggression never resonated. Or maybe they simply found it boring. All of those reasons are valid. But here's why sports fans and non-fans often talk past each other. They experience meaning differently. Sports fans find meaning in narrative, the comeback, the underdog, the dynasty, the rivalry. It's real drama with unpredictable outcomes. Non-fans look at that same randomness and think, why should I emotionally invest in something I can't influence, involving people I don't know, in a game that doesn't change my actual life? And they're not wrong, but neither are the fans. It's just two strategies for satisfying the same human hunger for story, purpose, and transcendence. Psychologists call this the difference between parasocial investment and direct engagement. Sports fans build one-sided emotional bonds. Non-sports people prefer engagement where their presence actually matters, where effort changes outcomes, where care is reciprocal. And here's the quiet truth. People who don't obsess over sports often report feeling more present in their own lives. They're not spending hours emotionally living someone else's struggle. They're living their own. There's something subtle but radical about that. So, if someone asks you, "Did you see the game?" and you genuinely don't care, remember this. You're not broken. You're not missing something fundamental. You're just playing a different game, one where your attention stays closer to your own life. And that game might quietly matter more.